Hello, my dear friends and fellow developers. Welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to continue our journey in which we are discussing different topics related to our LWC framework. In our last videos or sessions, we have discussed about light DOM and shadow DOM. We have also seen different use cases where we can use it with some examples. We have also seen how to enable light DOM in our Salesforce org in our LWC framework. Today, we are going to continue the same journey, and today we are going to discuss what is the difference between light DOM and shadow DOM. So, this session is very much needed to exactly understand what is the major differences between shadow DOM and light DOM and when to actually use it based on the use case in which we want to develop our component. So, first thing is encapsulation. So Shadow DOM provides strong encapsulation. Styles and script from outside the component cannot affect the internals of a Shadow DOM. So as we all well aware that with the help of Shadow DOM, basically it gives us a kind of container inside which we have our own style and scripts, which basically is secured from the outside components. You can say like that. So basically with the help of Shadow DOM, we can achieve strong encapsulation. But in case of light DOM, it doesn't provide encapsulation. Since it is light DOM, so that your style and scripting can penetrate it and it can affect the internals of a light DOM. So basically, any outer component can access your internal containers or internal styling, and it can manipulate or it can do whatever operations you want to perform. So in case of shared DOM, we have scope CSS. So scope CSS, or you can say scope style. So basically, since it works in the form of containers, so basically whatever you will define inside the container, it will remain in that only. It will not have any effect to the outside containers or outside component. But in case of light DOM, it is a kind of global styles. So basically, whatever you will design in your component, it can bleed out. So basically, it can have be accessed by outer component, or the same principles or same properties can be applied to the outer components. In terms of accessibility, you cannot access shadow DOM elements by an outside containers or outside component. So we cannot access the internals of a shadow DOM directly from the outside. In case of light DOM, since it is a light DOM and it doesn't have its clear boundary defined, so basically it can be accessed and manipulated directly from the outside components. Now, if we talk about custom elements, so basically Shadow DOM utilizes shadow root for custom element because it has a concept of shadow root and shadow boundary, with the help of which it can define its own clear shadow boundary. So basically, it utilizes the shadow root for custom element. But in case of light DOM, it doesn't have shadow root, so basically it has to rely on the traditional DOM structure. Now, if we talk about the use case, so basically LWC default encapsulates, or you can say defaultly enables the shadow DOM in its framework. But in case of light DOM, it is less commonly used. Basically, it is used in the scenarios where we want the script and style to be inherited from the parent. And since it is not enabled by default, so you have to enable it in your Salesforce org in your LWC framework. I will attach the link in the description in which we have seen like how we can enable the light DOM in our framework, so that you can go through that if you want to enable the light DOM in your Salesforce org, and you can do your operations or you can play and have a hands-on on light DOM. Now, if we talk about browser support, so basically all modern browsers support Shadow DOM natively. So if you want to work with Shadow DOM, you should have the latest version of whatever browser you're using. Let's suppose Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge. And shadow, if you are using any older version, it might not work. So it is always suggested that you should use modern browsers that support DOM natively. Now, if we talk about light DOM, so light DOM, since it is a traditional DOM, it is universally accepted by all browser. Now, if we talk about component interaction, so basically Shadow DOM, since it is worked on containers, or you can say encapsulation. So basically, we require an event dispatching and bubbling for data communication or passing of data from one component to other component. But in case of light DOM, it can directly have interaction with its parent component, since there is no boundary defined in which it has to cross that boundary and have to work on like that manner. So basically, you can have direct interaction. Now, if we talk about slotting, so slotting is a concept in LWC framework with the help of which LWC has provided an element so that data can be easily passed from parent to child. So that concept will be known as slotting. So basically, Shadow DOM supports slotting because it it helps is to distribute the contents to from parent to child. But in case of light dom, it doesn't not need any slotting mechanism. You can directly place the content in any of the containers or any of the component, and it can have access to there. Now the major thing comes is the performance. So if you talk about performance, so Shadow DOM slightly better performance due to encapsulation and limiting reflows and repatch the component. So basically Shadow DOM provides a better performance as compared to Light DOM because it has the concept of encapsulation and it limits the data flow. So it processes fast if you work with Shadow DOM. But in case of light DOM, performance might be a little bit affected, but it is useful in the scenario where we want global style or script application. You can think of it as like you are working for some client ABC and you want to have common styling in all the components. So in that case, you can make use of light DOM. But yeah, their performance will be slightly less as compared to Shadow DOM. But as I mentioned earlier, it totally depends on use case, like which one to use when. So today we discussed about the key differences between Shadow DOM and Light DOM. So hopefully I was able to explain the key differences and was explain the use cases where we can use it. If you have any doubts, you can comment that doubts in the comment section. I will be happy to answer your doubts. If you're watching so far, I would really appreciate if you like and share my content. Thank you very much.